Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today I have a card share featuring the January 2015 card kit. And this is a wonderful card kit filled with lots of wonderful papers from Bo Bunny that have purples and blues and grays. And purple is not something that I'm always drawn to, but in this kit it is stunning, and I really love the elegance of the look of the kit. I'm going to create a shaker card, and I'm using one of the pattern papers from Bo Bunny that's in the January card kit, and I'm using the InStitches rectangle and circle dies. I'm just using the largest rectangle there from the collection, and then one of the circle dies. I think this is the second largest. These are from Simon Says Stamp exclusive dies. And this is going to create the front of my shaker card. The great thing about these InStitches dies is there is stitching on both the outside of the die line and the inside. So it's going to give that really nice finished look. Now I'm taking one of the other designs from, or pattern paper designs rather, from the kit, and I'm using the Hills dies that are from Simon Says Stamp, sorry, and these are like snow drifts and things like that. The great thing about this kit is you can use them just the die cut die, or you can use that and then line up the stitching line die and die cut that and create a snowy landscape or waves or whatever it is you want to create that has that stitching detail. So depending on what you're trying to match the landscape here to, you can use these dies with or without that stitching detail, and I really love that. And you can see it was really easy for me to line up that coordinating stitching line die, place a little post-it tape there to hold it in place, and run it through. So I die cut the snowy border, I used the stitching line, and now I'm using that circle die to die cut a couple of half circles or portions of circles from that snowy border so that it has that great stitching line around the bottom edge. These are going to be the snowdrifts landscape for the little scene that I'm creating inside of my shaker card. Now I kept the inside piece that I die cut from my front panel because that's going to go on the inside of my shaker. It immediately has that great kind of light bluish aqua background. I've got my snowdrift borders here out of the other pattern paper. And now I need to die cut my village pieces. This is from the Village die cut collection from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm die cutting the tall house and the trees. And I'm using the cardstock included in the card kit. There's this gorgeous kind of eggplant purple cardstock, and then the smoke gray Simon Says Stamp cardstock. So I trimmed that down, I ran it through my machine to get 3 trees and 1 house. Now the thing about these dies is they will die cut like on a border, so they don't die cut along the bottom. If you don't want to use them like that, it's very easy to just snip them along the bottom of each die to create your own little die cut pieces. So for this one, I'm going to be tucking them into my snowdrifts. I didn't need to die cut them along the edge, so I simply snipped those out. I'm going to lay these in my card design, tuck those trees in here and there. And I think that the purples and the grays really create kind of an elegant feel. Yes, this would make a really pretty, holiday themed card if you wanted to do that. But I'm thinking more of a winterish themed card for this. In fact, I'm making it a thank you card. So this would even work as a thank you card for after the holiday season. Now, the Perfect Pearls in Grape Fizz comes in this kit, as well as the Simon Says Stamp White Pigment Ink, and then the awesome Winter Wishes stamp set. You get the brush as well, and a mini mister that you can fill with water. Now, with the pigment ink, it's a great ink because it stays wet. You simply take your brush that comes in the kit, dip that in your Perfect Pearls, and then tap that color onto what you've stamped. Now, the sticky ink is going to grab onto that pigment powder and hold it in place. So I'm going to, once I have that all covered, I'm just going to kind of clean off my brush and then take my brush back and forth along where I've stamped to kind of brush off any of that excess powder. And I missed a little spot, so I went ahead and went back over it. Again, I'll kind of clean off my brush real fast and then take my brush back and forth across that. And I did move off of my work surface. I apologize for that. So I didn't get that pigment powder all over my project. Now, it creates this really kind of pearlescent, beautiful finish. I'm going to go ahead and take my mini mister filled with water, and you just kind of want to spritz it in the air like you would perfume and run your paper back and forth through it. The water is going to set those pigment powders and you won't have to worry about any of it coming off. So once I have that done, I am going to add the rest of my greeting. I'm going to use the white pigment ink now as is for the little greeting that goes underneath the word thanks. Again, this is a stamp set that has lots of different greetings that you can mix and match to create your own customized greeting. I love that. Once I have my greeting in place, I'm going to take a few of the other small stamps in the stamp set this month, or for January, I guess I should say. The star and then the little, it looks like an asterisk or something like that. I'm using them as snowflakes. Use my pigment powder, or my pigment white ink again to stamp those around my little house and trees. And then I will take the Perfect Pearls powder again and the brush and rub that over all of those little images to add some color to them. It just helps tie the whole card and design together. So easy to use, and really you do not need very much of the Perfect Pearls. Where you've stamped is going to grab onto those really quickly. So there are my little stamp designs. I'm going to go ahead and rub off any of that excess powder. Again, mist some water in the air and just kind of wave my little stamped piece of paper through that a few times to set the ink. And then I have die cut a transparency the same size as this large stitched rectangle. I'm going to adhere that to the back of my frame. Make sure I get any little pieces of Perfect Pearls or any other little lint off of my transparency. And then I should have done this before I added the transparency, but I forgot. So I added some adhesive on the back of my circle. And I'm going to carefully line that up with another die cut rectangle that I've die cut from some white cardstock and place that there so that it will perfectly line up when I put the frame over it and create my shaker. I'm adhering my snowdrifts then to this circle. And that stitching detail along the bottom really adds to it, I think. The stitching detail for the snowy border is nice, but by die cutting that border with the circle die cut, it really adds that nice, another level of decorative element and a nice finishing edge. I'm using my Zig glue pen to add some adhesive on the back of my die cut house. Place that on the circle as well, and I'll glue my little trees in place using the Zig glue pen as well. I find this works really well for small little pieces. Once I have all of my trees glued down, I thought it would be fun to kind of add to that snowy feeling of the shaker card and almost give it that snow globe type of look. So I'm going to take one of my new favorite products, which is the Sukaneko Pico Embellisher, which is a white, it's this little ink tool with a very fine tip. You can draw with it. I've did another video here a while back using this inking tool, but it adds awesome little decorative ink detail. So I'm going to draw some snow on the top of the trees, around the top of the house, the windows, all over the place, and even add some little dots of white ink here and there to give it that really snowy look. Add some in the center of some of those stamp designs as well. And even add some snow, dots of snow on top of the house and the trees so that it looks like the house is inside the shaker, or that it's snowing all around the shaker, I guess I should say, instead of just behind the images, if that makes sense. So once I have all of my ink on there, I'm going to take the cap and replace it. It has a little silver piece that fits right inside, which automatically unclogs it, which I think is phenomenal. I love that. And I can add my foam adhesive to the back of my frame while the rest of the glue dries. And I'm going to double up my adhesive all the way around. Now for this card, I actually didn't have to trim the foam adhesive in half. A lot of times the frame is so thin that I have to because it's a wider foam adhesive, but for this one I didn't, and it just makes it kind of quicker and easier to not have to cut it in half. You could, if you wanted to save on the foam adhesive, definitely, but I was in a hurry, so I went ahead and used it as is and just doubled it up on each of those pieces. So just trim that all in place real quick. You want to make sure the foam adhesive is butted up right next to each other so that it holds your shaker material in. I'm using little seed beads, and those definitely will escape if you do not have your adhesive right next to each other. So once I have that, make sure everything's lined up good. I will take about 3 colors of these seed beads. This is a great new collection for the shaker collection at Simon Says Stamp. They have a whole bunch of new beads. I'll dump in about 3 different colors. Find what matches the best. I decided not to go with the kind of blue. I thought it was too blue and not purple enough, so I went with silver instead. I've kind of got a clear, a white, and a silver. I'll take off the backing material, replace that rectangle on the back of my shaker, and then I can place that whole thing on my card base to finish my card. I hope you've enjoyed this video showcasing the brand new Simon Says Stamp January 2015 card kit. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.